The Instagram influencer I fined for illegal parking launched a viral hate campaign that cost me my privacy, so I turned the tables and exposed his lies. Just another Tuesday in downtown Chicago. That's what it was supposed to be anyway. Cruising. In my patrol car, sipping my gas station coffee that somehow always tastes better on morning shifts. I'd been with the Chicago PD for 5 years by then. Nothing special, just doing the job I loved. Keeping the streets safe, writing the occasional ticket, helping lost tourists find the bean. You know, cop stuff. Then I spotted it. A gleaming, blue Tesla Model X parked smack in the middle of a handicap spot outside that fancy juice bar everyone's been raving about lately. No placard, no special plates, just some dude with pink hair recording himself with a ring light attached to his iPhone Pro Max. I pulled over, already feeling that familiar twinge in my gut, the one that says this interaction isn't going to be smooth sailing. But hey, the law's the law, right? Excuse me, sir, I said, approaching with my ticket book. This is a designated handicap space. Do you have a permit? The guy barely glanced up from his phone. One sec, I'm finishing this story. He kept talking into his camera about some detox juice cleanse that was literally changing his life, while completely ignoring me. I stood there, waiting. Chicago spring winds whipping around, making my uniform jacket flap while this dude finished his social media moment. When he finally acknowledged my existence, he gave me that look. You know, the one like I was some NPC in his personal video game. Can I help you? He had this accent that screamed California transplant, designer sunglasses perched on his head despite the overcast day. Sir, you're parked in a handicap space. I need to see your permit or I'll have to issue a citation. That's when he smirked. Actually smirked. Do you know who I am? Classic. In my 5 years on the force, I'd heard that line more times than I could count, usually from drunk college kids or local politicians' nephews. But this guy said it with such conviction that for a split second, I almost wondered if I should know him. No, sir, I don't, but I do know you're illegally parked. I'm Noah Blake, 5 million followers on Instagram. I'm here promoting this juice bar. He gestured to his Tesla. This is part of my brand aesthetic. The blue car, the blue storefront. It's a whole vibe. Well, sir, blocking accessibility for people with disabilities isn't a vibe, it's a violation. That'll be $250. His face changed so fast it was almost comical. The smile vanished, replaced by something uglier. He stepped closer, those gold Nike Air Jordans gleaming in the morning light. Are you serious right now? Do you have any idea what one story from me is worth to businesses in this city? I'm doing Chicago a favor by being here. I kept my expression neutral, though inside I was rolling my eyes hard enough to see my own brain. The citation is for the illegal parking, sir. How you choose to spend your time in Chicago isn't relevant to that. He pulled out his phone again, this time pointing it directly at me. What's your badge number? What's your name? I'd been through this dance before. Officer Thompson, badge number 8294. Now, I need to see your driver's license for the citation. This is going on my feed. My followers are going to love how the Chicago PD harasses influencers just trying to support local businesses. He was already tapping away, that phone pointed right at my face. Sir, your license, please. You're just jealous, he said, voice rising. Jealous of what I have, how much I make. Bet you've never even been in a Tesla. At this point, a small crowd was forming. Because of course, nothing attracts attention like a guy with pink hair yelling at a cop. Final request, sir. I need your license for the citation, or we'll have additional issues. I'm not giving you shit, he snapped, then immediately switched to a sweeter tone as he started a live stream. Hey guys, Noah here, coming at you live from downtown Chicago, where I'm being harassed by the police for promoting a local business. Can you believe this? And that's when he made his big mistake. As I reached for my ticket book, he shoved me. Not hard enough to knock me over, but definitely hard enough to constitute assault on an officer. In an instant, my training kicked in. I secured his arm, spun him around, and had him against the Tesla's hood before he could hit end on his live stream. What are you doing? Are you crazy? I'm being arrested for parking? This is insane, he shouted as I cuffed him, his phone clattering, to the sidewalk. Sir, you're being detained for assaulting a police officer and resisting a lawful order. You have the right to remain silent. As I read him his Miranda rights, his face went through a kaleidoscope of emotions, shock, anger, and then, weirdly, a kind of satisfaction. Like this was exactly what he wanted. I didn't know it then, but that smirk would haunt me for weeks to come. At the precinct, Noah Blake was the picture of entitlement, demanding his phone call like he was in some TV drama, telling every officer who walked by that they'd regret this and how his legal team would destroy us. My sergeant, a veteran with 20 years on the force and a perpetual coffee stain on his uniform, just rolled his eyes. Another social media superstar? Yep, parked in a handicap spot, then shoved me when I wrote him up. Well, the camera on, that intersection doesn't lie. We'll pull the footage. He patted my shoulder. Good work, Thompson. By the book. I nodded, finished my paperwork, and headed home after my shift, thinking that was the end of it. Just another entitled jerk who thought the rules didn't apply to him. Boy, was I wrong. Update. Hey everyone, thanks for the support. I never expected this post to blow up like it has. Some of you have asked if I checked Noah's social media after the arrest. I didn't. Big mistake. When I finally did look at his Instagram the next day, my stomach dropped. Has anyone ever had their name dragged through mud so thick you can't even recognize yourself in the story? What would you have done? The next morning, my phone blew up, with texts from fellow officers. Have you seen it? You're trending. Call the union rep now. Noah had posted an edited version of our encounter. And when I say edited, I mean completely butchered to make it look like I'd approached him aggressively, harassed him without cause, and then violently arrested him when he politely questioned why he was being targeted. The worst part? The video cut out the part where he shoved me. Instead, it looked like I just grabbed him for no reason, and his followers ate it up. 5 million strong, they were already calling for my badge, my job, my head on a platter. Justice, for Noah, was trending. My name and badge number were everywhere. By noon, someone had doxed me. My home address, my personal phone number, even pictures of my apartment building were circulating online. The department put a patrol car outside my place as a precaution, but the damage was done. My privacy was shattered. I walked into the precinct that afternoon to meet with my lieutenant, passing through a gauntlet of side eyes and whispers. Some colleagues had my back, sure, but others were clearly wondering if I'd actually gone too, far with some famous kid they'd never heard of. Lieutenant Rivera, a no-nonsense woman who'd risen through the ranks when female officers were even rarer than they are now, waited in her office with the department's public relations officer and a union rep. Thompson, she said as I sat down, we've reviewed the intersection cameras. She swiveled her monitor to show me the footage. There it was, the entire interaction, including Noah clearly shoving me before I detained him. So I'm cleared? I asked. Professionally, yes. This footage vindicates your actions. She paused. But publicly, this is a mess. This kid's followers are bombarding the department with calls. The mayor's office is getting involved. The PR guy, nervously adjusting his tie, jumped in. We're releasing a statement with this footage, but these internet storms have their own momentum. It might be best if you take a desk assignment for a while, just until this blows over. I felt my throat tighten. So I'm being punished for doing my job correctly? Lieutenant Rivera's expression softened slightly. No one's punishing you, Thompson, but I need to consider your safety as well as department optics. This isn't about right or wrong anymore. It's about managing a situation that spiraled beyond normal protocols. I wanted to argue, but part of me knew she was right. That morning, I'd found my car windshield covered in sticky juice, the same brand from that stupid juice bar. A not-so-subtle message from Noah's fans, so I took the desk duty, processed paperwork, answered phones, watched from the sidelines as the department's social media accounts got flooded with hate comments. The official footage helped sway some reasonable people, but Noah's followers weren't interested in facts. And Noah, he doubled down, made tearful Instagram stories about police brutality, started a GoFundMe for his legal defense that racked up thousands, sold justice merchandise with stylized handcuffs on them. The guy was actually profiting from assaulting me. A week into this nightmare, the deliveries started. First, it was harmless but annoying. Dozens of pizzas I never ordered. Then it escalated. Bags of dog poop, subscriptions to embarrassing magazines, religious pamphlets about redemption for sinners. My apartment building manager was losing patience. Neighbors I'd barely spoken to now avoided the elevator if I was in it. I started staying with my sister in the suburbs, commuting 2 hours each way just to feel safe. The department offered counseling, which felt like a joke. What was a therapist going to do about thousands of internet strangers who thought I was the devil incarnate? Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, they did. I was getting coffee one morning before heading to the precinct when I spotted a familiar blue Tesla crawling down the street. Noah was behind the wheel, another guy with a camera in the passenger seat. They'd found me, even outside the city. My heart raced as I ducked into the coffee shop, watching through the window as they drove by slowly, clearly filming. I called it in immediately. He's stalking me now, I told Lieutenant Rivera, my voice shaking with anger and something close to fear. Document everything, she said firmly. We'll send a patrol car to escort you to the station. And Thompson, we're going to fix this, I promise. But promises felt pretty empty when I was living in a nightmare that showed no signs of ending. Update. I'm completely overwhelmed by all your stories of similar experiences. The solidarity means more than you know. Several of you asked about Noah's past and if anyone else had negative experiences with him. That question led me down a rabbit hole I wasn't expecting. Remember how confident Noah was during our encounter? Turns out, this wasn't his first rodeo with law enforcement. But would anyone believe me if I tried to expose his pattern? Is fighting back against someone with millions of devoted followers just asking for more trouble? 3 weeks into this ordeal, I was at my lowest. Working behind a desk, practically living at my sister's place, checking under my car every morning for tampering, and jumping every time my phone buzzed with another anonymous threat. Then came the message that changed everything. It was a DM on Instagram, a platform I rarely used before, but now checked obsessively to monitor Noah's latest attacks. The sender's username was @Kruog, and the message was brief. I have info about Noah you need to see. He's done this before. I can prove it. After weeks of harassment, I'd grown cautious. This could easily be another trap, another way for Noah to humiliate me. But something about the message felt genuine. I replied with a burner email address I'd created for safety. Within an hour, I had an email with attachments. The sender identified himself as Ryan, a former friend and business partner of Noah's from Los Angeles. Their influencer content creation company had dissolved amid accusations of stolen content and mismanaged funds. Noah has a pattern, Ryan wrote. He targets authority figures, creates confrontations, films them, then edits the footage to make himself look like a victim. It's driven engagement for him at least 3 times that I know of. Check the attachments. I opened them with shaking hands. Screenshots of Noah's previous confrontations, one with a restaurant manager in San Diego, another with a flight attendant, and a third with a security guard at a music festival. Each time, Noah had played victim, mobilized his followers, and watched his metrics soar. Each incident had resulted in someone losing their job or facing harassment. But the most damning evidence was a series of text messages between Noah and his current business manager, discussing their Chicago strategy. Cops are perfect targets, one message read. People love to hate them. Get one to snap on camera and we'll double your engagement. Think of the merch opportunities. I felt sick, and then furious. This had never been about a parking spot. I'd been targeted as part of a cynical marketing strategy. There's more. Ryan's email continued. Noah's planning a huge party this weekend to celebrate hitting 5.5 million followers. It's at that penthouse loft in River North. He's bringing in dealers, Thompson, the same ones he always uses when he's in Chicago. Plus, he's been bragging about having some of your personal items that his followers stole from your mail. I took everything straight to Lieutenant Rivera. She listened, examined the evidence, and then made a call to narcotics. If what your source says is accurate, she said after hanging up, we might have a way to turn this around. But Thompson, this stays absolutely quiet until we move. Understood? For the first time in weeks, I felt a glimmer of hope. The operation came together with surprising speed. Narcotics had apparently had Noah's dealer connections on their radar for months. My evidence was the missing piece they needed to justify a more aggressive approach. Saturday night arrived. I sat in a surveillance van 2 blocks from the River North loft, watching video feeds with Lieutenant Rivera and the narcotics team. The party was in full swing, with Chicago's wannabe influencer crowd streaming in, all dressed to impress Noah Blake, the pink-haired king of their shallow kingdom. At exactly 11:30 p.m., the raid began. I watched through body cams as officers entered with warrants in hand. The look on Noah's face when he realized what was happening, priceless. His carefully curated image crumbled as officers found exactly what Ryan had promised. Drugs stashed in bathroom air vents, stolen mail addressed to me, including my sister's wedding invitation, that one really stung, and his phone with text messages discussing the cop setup in detail. Noah Blake was let out in handcuffs for the second time in a month, but this time there was no edited video to save him. This time, multiple body cams captured every moment of his arrest, including his panicked attempts to delete messages from his phone. As he was placed in the back of a patrol car, our eyes met briefly. I was standing across the street, watching, from the shadows. The recognition in his eyes, followed by the realization that his game was over. I won't lie, it felt like justice. The department moved quickly after that, with evidence of targeted harassment, stalking, mail theft, drug possession, and conspiracy. The case against Noah was solid. His expensive lawyers couldn't magic away the texts outlining his strategy to target a police officer for social media gain. The PR department released a comprehensive statement with body cam footage from the arrest, along with evidence of Noah's pattern of fraudulent claims. They didn't include Ryan's identity. He'd been promised anonymity, but they made it clear that Noah had orchestrated a harassment campaign based on deliberately edited footage. Major news outlets picked up the story. Influencer arrested, harassment campaign against officer exposed, read one headline. Social media star faked police brutality claims for followers, read another. Noah's sponsors began dropping him like he was radioactive. His Justice merchandise line was pulled from his online store overnight. His follower count took a hit as the truth spread. And me? I returned to patrol duty the following week with a formal commendation for grace under pressure during an unprecedented harassment campaign. Fellow officers who'd kept their distance now welcomed me back with new respect. The charges against Noah eventually resulted in a plea deal, 2 years for the drug charges and harassment, plus restitution payments and a restraining order keeping him far away from me and my family. Update, you all are amazing. Your questions about whether I've gone back to normal life made me reflect on what normal even means after something like this. Many asked if I'm still in law enforcement. Yes, proudly so. But has this experience changed how I approach the job? Absolutely. Do I check for cameras before every interaction now? You bet. Have I considered using my experience to help other officers facing similar situations? That's actually why I'm sharing this story today. Is anyone else in public service noticing this trend of being targeted for social media content? It's been 8 months since Noah Blake entered and exited my life like a hurricane. His Instagram account still exists, but it's a shadow of its former glory. Last I heard, he was trying to rebrand as a reformed character speaking at marketing conferences about the dangers of social media influence. The irony isn't lost on me. As for me, I'm back to normal patrol duties, cruising the streets of Chicago, writing tickets when necessary, helping tourists find the bean. But something has changed. I'm more aware now of how quickly a routine interaction can spiral into something unrecognizable in the hands of someone with an agenda and a platform. I've started speaking at police academy trainings about my experience, preparing new officers for a world where every interaction might be filmed, edited, and weaponized. Not to make them paranoid, but to make them prepared. Ryan and I keep in touch. He started a small production company focused on authentic content, his way of pushing back against the fake reality that influencers like Noah try to sell. Sometimes he sends me links to particularly cringy influencer scandals with messages like, "At least it wasn't this bad." It's become our weird inside joke. The department has implemented new protocols for officers targeted by social media campaigns, drawing directly from my experience. It's a small victory, knowing that the next officer who finds themselves in my position will have more immediate support and resources. Last week, I was patrolling downtown and drove past that same juice bar. There was a new Tesla parked outside, red this time, legally parked in a regular spot. Some influencer type was taking photos with a green drink, carefully arranging everything for the perfect shot. I drove by slowly, caught the driver's eye, and gave a small nod of appreciation for the legal parking job. They waved back, confused but friendly. Sometimes, that's all it takes. A tiny acknowledgement that we're all just trying to exist in the same space, following the same rules, even if some of us have fancier cars and more Instagram followers than others. As I continued down Michigan Avenue, I couldn't help smiling to myself. Noah Blake had tried to break me with his followers, his influence, his carefully constructed reality. Instead, he'd only made me more certain of who I was and what I stood for, and no amount of Instagram filters could change that truth.